This is going to be one of the most transparent videos I've ever made. For me personally, some of the most valuable content that I get to watch seeing other entrepreneurs grow is just learning what their day-to-day looks like, especially for entrepreneurs that I really look up to. So in this video, I'm just going to be opening the doors to what we've been working on, talking about how we were able to spend $250,000 on products last month, and I'm also going to break down my strategy for Q4, talk about a couple of things that I'm trying to implement in my own business as we continue to scale. But if you're brand new to the channel, my name's Warner Fields from Fields of Profit. I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller, and within the last few months especially, I've been putting a ton of effort into building out my team so that I can progress further towards being a business owner, not just a hustler going out buying, flipping stuff online. And the eventual goal is to have a business that would run itself completely. So let's go ahead and get into how I'm scaling my Amazon business and what my plans are for this Q4. Before we do that, if you guys haven't already checked it out, directly beneath me, there's going to be a link to our completely free Amazon seller Discord community. Over 35,000 people in there, a ton of free information. Would love to see you in there, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, so like I said, the first thing I want to go ahead and break down is how last month we were able to spend about $250,000 on products. There's going to be some fluctuation in that number based on cancels. I do my best to go in and retroactively kind of track when we got cancels and make sure we're actually spending it. So it's somewhere around $240, $250 is what we did spend on products last month. So I went ahead and wrote down 4 key points for how we were able to scale up our spend to this level. The first of those being just simply sales. At the beginning of this month, we had Labor Day, so there was a ton of sales all over the place, a lot of good stuff to buy. During the first week of September, we spent right around $60,000 to $70,000, and that's going to be something that will apply once again to Black Friday and a lot of those sales coming up, and it's going to be much, much better than Labor Day. So definitely be ready to take advantage of that. We definitely did pretty well on Labor Day, but even towards the end of the month there, we were pretty close to spending towards that Labor Day pace. We were spending about $12,000 to $15,000 a day on products, which I'm super happy with. And so that also ties into another thing that we were able to massively benefit from, which is just getting a better understanding of the sales cycle on different websites. So you probably have a few websites, maybe 1 or 2 especially, that you buy a ton of product from and you really know how the coupons work on that site. I would say in the past, I've gotten way too focused on buying items from 1 or 2 sites, getting really good at those sites. And eventually we ended up getting banned from a site that we were buying a whole bunch of product from at the beginning of this year. So that really came back to bite me. And now I'm trying to learn my lesson from that, right? So we're expanding to a lot of different websites, learning the sales cycles on a lot of different websites, because as you scale, one of the most difficult things about an online arbitrage business is order cancels. I'm sure you're familiar with it if you're scaling your business as well. And so as we were trying to scale our business, we were limited to spending, maybe $1,000-$2,000 on those sites that we really wanted to go hard on. But if we went much harder, we were going to get a ban or cancels and all that kind of stuff. So expanding to a bunch of different sites and understanding new strategies on a whole bunch of new sites has been a really good way to spread that spend apart and avoid a lot of those order cancels. And so that also ties into the third bullet point that I think has helped our team grow a lot. And that's the fact that the skill of my virtual assistant team who goes out and sources the products for us is really getting a lot better. Right now I have 9 product sourcers, and between those 9, we do our absolute best to review a bunch of the products that they found. I think a lot of people, you'll go out, your virtual assistant, or you'll go buy a product. It was great when you bought it, but then you won't do that internal review process of how did that product actually do for us, right? So it's super important to do that internal review process. And our virtual assistant team is getting way more talented just by going in and looking at the items that did really well, looking at the stuff that did really poorly, breaking it down, trying to find common themes. So even if you don't have virtual assistants for your Amazon business, go ahead and jump into your inventory management software, look at the absolute worst products for your business, look at the absolute best products for your business, see if you can find some common themes there, because I know we've definitely seen some common themes. For one, the items that tend to do the worst for us are the ones with the fewest moats. So if you don't have coupon, no cash back, none of that kind of stuff, if it's really easy for other people to find those leads, that's been by far the biggest predictor of when a lead is not going to turn out the way you want it to. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing that internal review process of trying to understand why things are working and why things aren't, you absolutely need to be doing that, because even if you end up losing money on a product, it can still teach you a lesson, and you already paid for that lesson, so go ahead and learn it from the inventory. Beyond that, kind of the fourth bullet point for how we're able to spend so much last month is I made kind of a big step for my business where my buyer and my manager now kind of directly communicate with each other. Before, I was acting as a filter between those two. I've been working with both of those people for quite a while now, and I really, really trust that they are going to do a great job. And so that's been an amazing thing for me to be able to step back a little bit, focus on kind of the bigger picture, going out and figuring out new strategies on new sites, tying back into that other thing, right? So I'm able to go out and focus on the big picture of the business. The manager and the buyer are communicating more easily with each other. And so they're really on top of the day-to-day operations, which has been really great for the business because I'm obviously really busy and I became the bottleneck for my business. So I really needed to figure out a way where my business can grow beyond me. That was kind of the big step we took during September. And that was a major way we were able to spend a lot more money during September. And again, I know there's maybe one, maybe two of you guys who have a manager and a buyer and all that kind of stuff for your Amazon business. I just really want to be transparent, break down what I'm working with, because I'm sure a ton of you guys in the audience want to build a very similar system for yourself. So I really just want to talk about kind of the things that we're dealing with. So with that said, that's kind of what worked for us last month, what didn't work for us last month. So I also want to talk about kind of what's next, especially heading into Q4. That's what on everybody's mind, right? So specifically for Q4 strategy, before too long, we will start sourcing some toys, just really some seasonal stuff that when you look at the Keepa charts, the past history of that item, if you see the prices are spiking way up on the item, even if right now it's a 10% ROI or Amazon's on it, but you see that consistently every year they go out of stock or the prices go way up, those are going to be good items for you to start acting on. And so here within the next week or two, I'll probably task one of my sourcing VAs specifically with just looking for seasonal stuff for us, kind of pivot the focus of the business just a little bit. At least one, maybe two virtual assistant I will task specifically with looking at those items where the price spiked way up last Christmas. And then we're going to go see if we can buy it from Amazon, buy it from other websites, see what kind of coupons we can get to get it the absolute cheapest. Because I did a good amount of that last year with toys and really it was a nice change of pace and it was pretty profitable, right? It's a very different business decision-making process where you're looking at the past history instead of trying to infer exactly how it's going right now and making sure that pattern is going to continue towards the future. Just a fun mental puzzle a little bit to figure out which inventory is going to be crushing it during Q4. Another big focus for my business right now, kind of also tying into Q4, is really figuring out where I'm going to be able to hammer out a good merch fulfilling operation. If you guys don't already have plans in place to be doing merchant fulfillment during this Q4, make them now. It will make you so much money. Please do merchant fulfillment during Q4. The reason for that is, December 1st, December 10th, right around there, a lot of people are going to throw in the towel. They're done for the year, but you're not going to be done, right? You're going to go ahead and buy a whole bunch of more inventory. Since Amazon sees such a massive increase in traffic during Q4, there's going to be way more demand and a lot of FBA sellers are going to go out of stock. And so the prices of things are going to be up and it's going to be way easier to win the buy box as a merchant fulfilled seller. Usually it's not super easy to win if you're merchant fulfilled, but things are going to be selling super fast. FBA is going to be going out and there's going to be a ton of opportunity for merchant fulfillment. And so for me last year, I was still living across the country. I was able to ship my stuff to me. I was just kind of hustling, doing it myself. This year I live across the country from my hometown and I really am trying to avoid shipping really anything work related to my residence here. And so I've kind of been trying to figure out if it's worth it for me to ship it to me and then I'd have to do all that work. What I'm probably going to end up doing is trying to find a prep center that will do some merchant fulfillment for me. My current prep center doesn't really want to do it. They're already a pretty small prep center and our FBA growth is already kind of putting them at max capacity. So I really don't expect to be able to do much merchant fulfillment from there. So really I'm going to be looking for those prep centers to do merchant fulfillment, which will definitely be a little bit more expensive. It'll limit my opportunities because those prep fees for merchant fulfillment will be decently high. There's going to be a lot less product opportunities for me. And who knows, maybe I'll end up biting the bullet, shipping stuff to me and just kind of going crazy for a couple months. But really I'm still trying to hammer out my plan for doing merchant fulfillment during Q4. My last bullet point for kind of the what's next section of this video is last month, especially towards the beginning of September, late August, we definitely saw some dip in our margin, which is natural. We went from spending around $80,000 to $100,000 a month 2 months ago. This month we spent $250,000. So it's only natural that our margins are going to go down a little bit. And the reason for that is right now we're casting a super wide net, looking at a ton of different products, looking at a bunch of different high volume products. A lot of those are going to end up tanking and our margin is going to suffer in the short term from that. But in the long term, that's going to build up a huge catalog of all the stuff that did really well. So right now, as we expand across a bunch of different ASINs, mostly in brands that we already know and trust, doing sourcing methods that we already know, just kind of spreading across more ASINs in those brands and across the sites that we're sourcing from. And so the idea is on the stuff that does end up tanking, we'll just end up cutting the fluff there. But after we cut all the fluff, we should be left with a business full of some extremely profitable, very long-term replenishables that is going to pay off big time after we deal with a little bit of margin crunch in the short term. And again, I could be completely wrong there. Maybe the margin continues to dip and we have to completely change our strategy. But really, I just want to share the mindset, kind of share a lot of the problems, some of the things that's working for us, because I know it can probably feel super overwhelming to be where you're at. Maybe you're spending $1,000, $2,000 a month, making decent money, but scaling way up seems super overwhelming. So if that's you, hopefully you learned a ton from this video. If you did get value out of this video, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more videos like this, just kind of breaking down where we're at, what's next, how we're going to be able to scale from here. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop those down below as well. Always happy to answer those. But I really appreciate you guys watching and I will see you next time.